Welcome to the Good Rookie Show. My name is Faheem.
And my name is Nelly J, y'all, and we are good
That's
rookies.
right.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Good Tuesday. And guess what? It's the Good Rookie Show.
Yep.
Yep. Yo, what's up, guys? You know how it is. It's your folks from Toronto bringing you the hottest topics in sports and culture. And today we got some really interesting topics to talk about, Faheem.
Hmm.
And I actually want to do something, I guess let's start off with the NBA midseason.
Mm-hmm.
It's here, right? The trade deadline is February 9th. And I feel like most teams have been talking about trades since October. I don't know about you, but a lot of guys have been talking about trades since October. I think Spurs made a couple moves already, a couple of trades and moves already, in January. And I think we're going to see, I feel like for some reason, we're going to see a lot of movement compared to last season, this midseason. I think every team wants to make a trade. I don't know any team that is happy with what they got. Me, you know what I'm saying? So every team sees something, a gap, because the league is so competitive. So let's talk about this league, man, the standings for him. So for those who don't know, as of today, so this is like, in mid-January, the standings for the NBA starts off with in the Eastern Conference. We got now Boston 1, Nets 2, Bucks 3, Cavaliers 4, 76ers 5, Knicks 6. In the playing spot, we got the Pacers, Heat, Bulls, and Hawks. Wizards and Raptors are out the play-in, but they're on the bubble. Now, between I would say 6 to 12, it's only about there's a couple games there, right? I mean,
Yeah, a good week away could change one's fortune. Yeah, that's true.
exactly.
It's
Like
very
if
tight.
any team goes in and the Knicks are in a 4-game winning streak. That's why they jumped up to the 6. But if they lose a couple games, they're back down. It's very streaky. So for him in the Eastern Conference, any teams you're shocked about, and the bottom 3 is the Magic, Hornets, and Pistons. Any team you're shocked about, or any team you think are overperforming right now in the Eastern Conference?
So the bottom ones, there's no surprise, like the Detroit, Charlotte's, Orlando's. Uh, I have to say, okay, so technically, as of the state, we have Toronto near the bottom and also Washington. Washington, Orlando, Charlotte, Detroit, all expected to be lower in the seating. Toronto's the only one that I am surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, how it's been going, Toronto has not been looking good at all over the last 10, 3 of 10, and just losing streaks like week after week. So that's the biggest surprise with Toronto. I'm really surprised with the biggest surprise, I think, in the Eastern Conference for me is the Indiana Pacers. Their team, 7 of 3 of last 10. They, the young core, Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Mathurin off the bench. They have just a good young core. I could see them maybe being a team that can apply some pressure in the playoffs. So they are one. Miami, I'm a little surprised. I thought Miami would be a little bit higher up in the standings, along with Chicago also. But the top is pretty much shaping out how I thought. I thought Boston would be near the top, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. Maybe, I don't know, if we said at the start of the season, did I see Cleveland being at the top with Donovan Mitchell? It wouldn't have been a surprise. So I think for the most part, everything in the Eastern Conference is shaping out to be as expected, with the only really outliers in this situation would be Toronto near the bottom and Indiana near the top.
I mean, I would add another outlier for me was the
Oh,
Hawks.
sorry. Can I add one more? Can I add one more?
Oh, go
Okay, you
ahead.
said the Hawks, and I'll let you
Yeah,
go. But the Knicks, I
the
should have said
Knicks.
that's the biggest surprise.
Mhm.
There's no way that I thought the New York Knicks would be in near the top.
So I mean, they're 6. So
Yeah, they're still
do
in.
you think they're going to stay the 6 seed, or do you think they're going to drop? I think they're going to
I
drop the
Yeah, I
Knicks.
think they're going to drop too.
Yeah, I think
But
so.
here we are, almost what was it? Well, how many games are we in now? Let's say 20, so about 35 games in, close to 40. So almost near the
Yeah, so
halfway point.
so but like we're at the midway. We're actually at the midway mark
Perfect.
for
Okay.
most of these games. So
Okay.
yeah, so I'll go, like, I think my surprise is the Hawks. I didn't see them as a 10th. I thought they'll be 7th. So my prediction was Cleveland would be like, I think I had Cleveland, Hawks, and Toronto to be in a similar, like, terms of tier, to be
Hmm.
honest. and below that tier was going to be Pacers, Knicks, and Bulls. The Heat, to me, I'm not surprised, but I am surprised. Because I think the Heat has been known to have really good regular season numbers. And they're still in the mix. Like, they're only legit 2 games away from the 5th seed. So
right.
They're not that far. Like, between the 5th, like even the Cavaliers, like the Cavaliers to the Heat, that's really close. From the Bulls down to Toronto, that's close, right? So I mean, again, you have one good month, you're probably, you know, top, right?
Right.
But I think in terms of the top echelon teams, I did have Cleveland and Bucks and Nets. But I have Bucks and Celtics above the Nets, to be honest. But the Nets are playing so well. And it just happens, right? Kyrie and Kevin Durant had a healthy season together. They haven't had one. And so now we're seeing the fruits of their labor. Ben Simmons is back. He's been healthy. And I think, you know, since Kyrie had gotten back, they've been on a roll. And I think Kyrie wants to do a lot, right? He might be a free agent this season. He's playing for more than just basketball, right? So
I got one more. I'll let you land with your Brooklyn. Go ahead.
Okay. So then the other team
that okay, before you go to the other team, I want to land on Brooklyn or something real quick.
Yep.
I want to add on Jacques Vaughn. Since the firing the new coach of Steve Nash and bringing in Jacques Vaughn, he was actually Eastern Conference. I think it was Coach of the Month. So his team, since he's been on board, there's clearly, like you said, everything you mentioned. Add in some new coaching. Also, shout out to Jacques Vaughn. Also, you got it.
Yeah. And then a great point. And then the Cavaliers, I thought the Cavaliers were a good team last year not just because adding Donovan Mitchell. I think Jared Allen, Evan, like they have a good core, right? So adding Mitchell, I thought they'd be like between that 4 to 7. But I think it's gonna be really close. Like last year, remember last year in the Eastern Conference, it was like 1 game between 1st and 5th. You know what I'm saying? Or 2 games. So I think we'll see the same thing. I think it's gonna be very close. I know it seems kind of distant, but I do think no one has ran away with it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like we saw the Celtics get embarrassed by OKC, and OKC wasn't playing Shea. You know what I'm saying? SGA. So it's just right now. I think there's lots of like no team has ran away with anything for me, but I do think the Eastern Conference is very interesting. I can see the Raptors moving up. I think they will secure a play-in spot. I do think they're going to figure out something, and I do think the Pacers will go up too. Actually, I think the Pacers might go up, and I think the Heat might stay where they are, 7 to 10. But the Knicks, I think, is going to fall down. So I think that 6th spot is going to be a fight. 5th and 6th is going to be a battle. Because Cleveland also had a pretty good first half last year. Injuries happened. They fell down. And you know how it is in the Eastern Conference. You have one bad week and you're out of everything. But yeah, I mean, the Eastern Conference is going to be interesting. Every night, the standings change. So if Toronto wins the next 2 games for him, they are an 8th. And Bulls or Hawks don't perform, or Heat, like they can move up to the 8th seed like that. You know what I'm saying? Depending how other teams perform. So it is really close. That's why I'm like, you can't say any teams out of it because you just really need one good couple of weeks and you're set. The Western Conference now, standings so far. Again, I predicted this for the Nuggets to be number 1. I'm high on that team from last year. If those guys weren't injured, I thought they'd be a top team. So Nuggets 1, Grizzlies 2, Pelicans 3, Mavericks 4, Kings 5, Warriors 6, Clippers 7th, Trailblazers 8th, Suns 9th, Jazz 10th, and then 11th and 12th is the Timberwolves and the Lakers, and they're like a game or 2 away from the play-in, so it's very, very close. OKC is also up there as well. Spurs and Rockets are the bottoms, right? They ain't trying to make win. They're looking for Victor. Now in terms of the Western Conference, again, very close. But any teams to you surprising?
I think this is so you see how there's always a change of the baton, like a new era comes in. I feel like of any year, this is the the change of the baton, like a new era is happening. To think that the usual suspects would go like this. You'd have maybe Lakers, Clippers, Suns, Golden State, your usuals, maybe Houston in past years with Harden, you know what I'm saying? San Antonio, like there's a lot of legacy teams that you'd figure is going to be at the top. Now I look at this now and I feel like, at the halfway point, but these are teams that are not going to be hot and slipping down. The way I think the West is set up, I think this is the way it could pretty much land, like the Eastern Conference. Denver is a legit team. Memphis, legit. New Orleans, Dallas, Sacramento has got to be the
Wow.
biggest surprise. Sacramento, this is a time that, Sacramento, I give them a few weeks to be at the top, and then, things just eventually naturally just try to shift where they go down. They're a legit team this year. So Sacramento being in the top 5 or 6 is, and legit being there. So I got to shout out Sacramento. Golden State holding on also. So these are the teams that I think is biggest surprise. So you mentioned it, even from, say, there's really 6 games separating 1 through 9. Let's
Not
call it
even
1 through
that
10.
game. Separating 4 through 9 is only one game.
One game,
1.5
right?
games.
So yeah,
So
so
like
yeah, yeah.
legit, like every game
Mhm.
changes. Like if the Warriors lose, they're back down to 10. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
If the
right.
Jazz win, they move up to, you know what I'm saying? Like legit, every single game in the Western Conference matters. You
Hmm.
can't sleep any night. You really can't. It's
Right.
pretty intense
So
right now in
coming
the
into
Western
this year,
Conference.
though, I think the biggest surprise for me is Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
After getting Rudy Gobert in the offseason and having Gobert and Cat and Anthony, I want to say Anthony
Yeah,
Bennett.
Ant-Man, they got
Yeah,
D'Lo.
man, yeah.
They got a squad. I mean, they're top heavy though,
Hey,
top heavy because their bench
totally.
got traded away with the Rudy Gobert pickup.
Totally coming in, I thought I'll be honest, maybe I was way premature. I was thinking, wow, this team maybe are they trying to build a contender? That's what I thought in the offseason.
Really, I did not.
I did.
When they got
Yeah,
Rudy Gobert, I thought there
mm,
would be a playing team. That's
that
what I
front
thought.
that front court just looked too nice. So, but it
Not
hasn't
to me
panned
at
out that
all.
way.
Really, I was like, they're a playing team. To be
Okay.
honest, Timberwolves, I'm not surprised. Like, I think I think they're 11th right now, but I think they'll be a playing team. They'll be like 8th, 9th, or 10th.
Hmm.
Minnesota.
Also the Lakers.
Oh yeah, they're
LeBron,
bad. I didn't even talk about
LeBron
them.
in his 80th year
Yeah.
is like really showing like he's playing out of his mind. The talent maybe isn't there. The fact that they're in play in ish material right now. Let me ask, do you think they'll make the playoffs clear? Do you think they'll
Oh,
overtime?
hell
Because
no.
like that,
Playoffs. No, no, no. They'll be
no,
a playing team. They'll be
still
playing team
playing.
or 11, 12. Remember, the Western Conference is very competitive, right?
Hmm.
They need these teams to lose and they have to win, right? That's how it works. So the Suns, they're out with Devin Booker. I think he's out for another couple weeks. So I think the Suns, when Devin Booker's back, they're going to go on a winning streak. Like they have the talent. I think the Lakers, though, I think the Lakers are going to be fighting for the 9th or 10th spot. And it's not because they're not good. It's the Western Conference is so much better, right? Than it
Hmm.
was in the past previous years. And so you really have to have like two, like you have to have a good bench to be a contender in the Western Conference. If your
Yes.
bench isn't performing like 15 plus points a night, it's a struggle. I do think the Lakers, when AD's back, they're so good. Without AD, I just don't trust it. So depending on AD's injury,
Very
he's been
regular.
out, and yeah, like they need him for a push.
Hmm.
And every time he misses more games, the less games they get to capitalize. But I know they're on a 4-game winning streak, but they've been playing not really any good teams as of late, so I can't go by that. But do I think they can beat the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, Pelicans, Mavericks, or cut up to those guys? The Kings, no. But
Hmm.
I think the Warriors are going to get better because the Warriors now, I think Wiggins is coming back soon. So they're going to
Hmm.
move up in the standings, the Warriors. Clippers, I think, are getting better because, they're still trying to figure out this team, the system.
And
But
also
they're
health. Health is really.
but they're also in a 5-game losing streak right
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
So for me, the only surprise that I have, to be honest, is the Kings, like you said. I'm also surprised at how low the Suns are and the Clippers are. I thought they'd be a bit more higher up.
Hmm.
Um, and the Blazers, actually, that surprised me too. I did not think the Blazers, after trading away so many guys last year, losing to CJ, losing Norman, like they traded a lot of guys last year, but they're still in the 8th seed. That's quite impressive for a team that a lot of folks were saying we're going to tank this season, right?
Right.
So again, it's so close. I'm also shocked at OKC. They're actually playing quite well, even without their star, and they're competing every night. So to me, the Nuggets, the Grizzlies and Pelicans, those three being 1, 2, and 3, I knew they'd all be playoff teams, but not 1, 2, and 3. I thought Warriors would be higher up there, and I thought Clippers would be. So I had Clippers and Warriors up in the mix of the top 4. But injuries always happen. But yeah, again, like the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference is very close. And if you have one bad week, man, it could be rough for you. And right now, the Suns and the Clippers are having a 5-game losing streak. Let's see if they can, clip that this weekend.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, Nelly J. We'll keep an eye on this, but you want to go to For the Culture?
For the Culture, we like to highlight individuals for the culture. And today we get to highlight, I think, someone that has impacted Faheem, everyone on earth. Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin, he plays safety for the Buffalo Bills. He actually started this season. College, he played for Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh, and he was drafted in 2021 in the 6th round as a rookie. So, but he was a backup. This year, he became a starter, and on Monday Night Football, January 2nd, for those, even if you didn't watch the game, you stopped when you heard the story. He suffered a cardiac arrest after making a tackle on the field. And so, of course, T. Higgins. So it was, they did CPR. They ran, it's called automated external defibrillation, AED. And then he was administered, which was administered to him, and he was rushed to the hospital in critical conditions. And thankfully, I think everyone had prayers out. Everyone was like, yo, just pray for him. Positive vibes, with his charity raising over $8 million. That is remarkable. However, what's really important is that the NFL decided not to continue the game. Woo! That wasn't even an option for them, seeing that he actually had a heart attack or cardiac arrest, however you want to call it, on the field. And also, I'm commending the players for surrounding him, not letting the media get in there. Media they're so macro, right? They're so macosha. They want to see everything. It's not TV, it's real life. So I'm happy that it gave the medical team enough time to administer. I believe he lost, his heart stopped beating twice at the field and on the way to the hospital. I'm happy that the medical team responded quickly, but also I think this also comes back to that this is more than just a game, right? These are humans out there, and they got to be protected. These contracts that the NFL has, not giving guaranteed money, players could only get like benefits or whatever after a certain amount of years playing. No, playing football could be, Faheem, maybe I'm being sarcastic, but it could be a death sentence, for real. When you go on that field every day, you don't know what can happen, right? You can injure something, and it's a very barbaric sport. So I just think that these players now got to be protected somehow from their first year, not from their 5th year, from their very first from the very first game they play. When they go on that field, they got to be protected, right? And it's something that the NFL and the NFLPA has to fight for. So I'm just hoping that now that this has happened, the NFLPA will have more of, I guess not leverage, but be able to, hey, these guys, we don't know, like, this can happen to a player on the field. Like, and there's no rhyme or reason. We have to protect these guys. And remember, 2nd year in the league. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think hopefully that this will help players fight for their rights. I really hope that Damar understands how happy everyone was on earth to know that he was okay. Because I don't want to think about it, but if it was an other scenario, I don't think I don't think anyone would ever be the same after that. Remember, kids watch these games, right? Like, parents watch these games. So this is going to be traumatic for him for a lot of people for years to come. But I'm so happy that Damar, his charity, his spirit, his energy, watching stuff he was doing, but prior to this game, like, he's a really good guy. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, Damar, for, fighting, coming back here, fighting and helping, with your toy drive and doing things you're doing in your community. But I just think that, for him to be for the culture, it was just a no-brainer for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that he went through, it's inspirational, I think, for a lot of people. What's your thoughts on, Damar, what happened, and then, like, his charity getting 8 million in like a week, less than a week time, and just how the doctors responded, kind of administering, everything and really helping him back to health.
So, as you know, I don't follow football as much as I used to for a few personal reasons. One is how they handled the kneeling situation. Also maybe just life, I do respect the game, but also with the CTE conversation we've been having over the last few years also. Um, I do think that there's a very big disconnect between owners and the players. And that's why I'm not really liking. It's happening in other leagues also, but I think the NFL is it's most obvious just because of the fact that the amount of money that the NFL brings in. So when I heard about what happened with Hamlin, we were actually in a post game on Twitter, and I think it might have been you saying that they were asking at the time those who were watching to not redistribute the video. Was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when that happened, I knew it had to be something serious, but I didn't know the severity of it until much later. It's great, first of all, to see he's pulling through and getting better. And you just touched upon it, how maybe this might be a good time for the league to kind of reevaluate how they're handling contracts and these players, because the NFL is a very profitable business. I know they have a lot of employees because NFL rosters are not like NBA rosters where they're shortened to maybe 10, 15 players. You have a lot of people but I think the product on the field is more than just a product. They're people. And I think what's been fueling from my end, what I've been hearing is, just the Skip Bayless tweets. It's kind of added fuel to the fire to some of the negative angle of, people and how they're kind of obsessing over the game opposed to the people.
Who wins? Like it's all about who's
Right.
winning and not about
Right.
the human being itself. So
Right. Anyone who's not familiar with the Skip Bayless tweet, this is the tweet that he did when he was at this point he was being was it
he was being sent to the
resuscitated?
hospital. So I'm not sure the
Right.
timing on the tweet, but this is when like the game stopped and they went back to the locker room and Skip made a tweet about go ahead.
Right. So the tweet, he says, quote, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the other regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. End tweet. I just think that it's super insensitive for him to make a tweet like that. But
also, I think it's a timing. Like if he tweeted that like 3 days later, like if that tweet came out like Wednesday, right after the time, but I think it just happened. Everyone is surprised, and that's your first. Like it's the timing of the tweet, right? The tweet in itself wasn't awful. It's just when he tweeted it, because legit, no one knew if he would live or die. You know what I'm saying? That was why it was so insensitive. And again, no offense, I don't think it's a black and white thing, but again, people look at these athletes as just like athletes. Like they're not human. They're just like, how they talk about like the Columbine is like the slave call, it's kind of like that. It's like they're like measuring these guys, their arms, their length, their width, their body shape. It's like, like how back, during slavery,
right.
they'd measure slaves like, hey, they're like the width. It's like they look at them as property, not as people. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Great point. And I think that's where I'll land with that. I just kind of feel like, this is with the George Floyd situation, which was very unfortunate. Some of the things that came out of that was an attempt to put us in a better place, right? I kind of feel with this, it's very unfortunate what happened to him, but I'm hoping that going forward, this is going to put the NFL in a better place to reevaluate how they're handling their players. Because from an outsider looking in who's really not that much invested in the NFL, something like that is needed for these players, I think. And I'll land there with that.
No, I think it's a great to say that. And I do want to big up his toy drive. It's on GoFundMe. Their goal was I think 2,500, and now they're at 8 million. You know what I'm saying? Talk about like hitting your goals and more. But a lot of players, NFL coaches, like I just think like even I love how the players stood up for him. Even we talk about how sometimes past basketball players in the media, how sometimes they don't have the same energy. Like it's like I feel like football players, how they talk about each other and how they kind of respond to each other's mistakes. There's a lot more unity, I would say, a lot more like you really hear an older player being highly critical or being an a-hole to like a younger player. You know what I'm saying? On live TV. Like they'll be critical of the game, but like I feel like in basketball, I feel like sometimes our basketball media guys, they can also be kind of insensitive sometimes to like what that player is going through or their age or like, a guy's 20, 21. Yes, he's not playing bad. He's playing bad, but you're so critical of that guy. You know what I'm saying, Faheem? I feel like sometimes like the NFL, even though the union and stuff like that is not the best, I do see a lot of like they stick together. That community there, NFL guys, they stick together. And I loved how every NFL player that was on TV that night, how they were pouring into love and support and just really it was good to see that, you know what I'm saying, on TV, the support that they got around him, not just people who play, even coaches like the coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, like he was talking about how of a good guy he is. You know what I'm saying? Like I just think it was just beautiful to see every team. It wasn't about teams and who's playing who. It wasn't about like, oh, you're against us. Even the Bengals were like so empathetic and loving towards the Bills. Like I love that stuff. I think it just shows that these guys understand that they are in it together. And I do think that, to your point, like for me, I think Damar has inspired so many people without even, with him knowing it, right? Like going through that traumatic, coming back and still being in good spirits. Like I think his mindset is what I think is just remarkable, because to go through that and still, from what I'm hearing, like he's just like a nice guy and just really positive, and he wants his guys to know that he's supporting them. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just really good to see. So I'm just so happy that we were able to highlight Damar, highlight his toy drive, highlight the good and the bad of the NFL, but also highlight that now I think he has inspired so many players, coaches, executives to check themselves at the door and say, hey, yes, we want to make more money, but we got to protect the guys who are helping us make that money, right? So
I got one last thing in. So you see how, and like I said, this is unfortunate, but I think there's a greater good that's coming out of this. And I think of this situation. Remember Tua early in the season, where he took a hit, which seemed to be pretty a regular hit, and he went down, and they played him the next game. Or was the next game? I want to make sure I'm getting this correctly. Do you remember he got hit, seemed kind of regular?
So not the next game. He got hit and he went back into the game. And a lot of fans were upset that he shouldn't have gone back into the game and finished it. Yeah, that was the concern.
So with something like that, where you figure, okay, head injuries, quarterback getting hit all the time, perhaps they would have handled it different opposed to letting him back in the game, right? If something like that happens going forward after what happened to Damar, so
you're out.
I think he's going to barely be a case study, I think, for what needs to happen in regards to player safety. And I think so I want to shout out him for pulling through and being something that the league can actually look to.
Yeah, and honestly, like again, Damar Hamlin, good rookies, the family, everyone in Toronto, I think Canada, we're just wishing you all the best in your recovery. We know it's a long road because clearly there's going to be side effects to this, right? So just we're gonna pray that like he just gets better every day and he sees improvement. And if you can play, cool. If you can't, like no matter what, you're alive. And I think that's what matters, that you're alive and that you can like pull through for your family and friends. So just all positive vibes to Damar.
Every time. All right. So what I did say during the For the Culture when I talked about the Skip Bayless tweet, that could have been our "That's absurd" topic because that was absurd.
Mhm.
But at this point, let's go to our topic for this week, which is "That's absurd."
That's absurd. Faheem, bro, what was absurd this week? What was absurd?
Donovan Mitchell, who went off for a 71-point game. It's the most points scored since the late great Kobe Bryant scored 81 in 2006.
Mm-hmm. Big up, Donovan.
The NBA has decided to test Donovan Mitchell after that 71-point game. Absurd.
Absurd. What's crazy, right? 71. And I think the NBA was kind of pissed off because they were saying that, oh, Mitchell actually stepped into the foul lane early. So that means that basket shouldn't have counted or should have been avoided, right? Um, so, Billy Donovan, the coach, he felt that, the first thing he shouldn't have gotten that basket. So, the people were bitter. Okay. They were bitter after his 71. No one, listen, as Raptor fans, we know how that feels. It's not the best. So, yes, they were bitter. Folks were questioning that one play. And then, Donovan Mitchell, his tweet was so funny for him. He fully tweeted out, and just like that, we are drug tested this morning, right? Like legit the next day. At NBA, at least be more, I don't know, like, so do you think, so I guess it's like 71, it must be a PED. You know what I'm saying for him? I think that's so weird. Like, I think in basketball, even taking performance enhancement drugs, what being stronger and faster doesn't mean the bucket will be made. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I don't know. I think it's funny that PED tests are being done because the form, how you're shooting, all that stuff, it's like it's beyond just raw, strength. You know what I'm saying for him? Especially for like a 6 foot guard like Donovan. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's just weird. Like, why would you test that? Maybe test your refs, test your like to test him. I think that's freaking absurd, man.
Yeah. So if Donovan Mitchell is going for like over, everyone has their nights, right? If it was over a period of, say, a month where he's putting up monster numbers, 71, 50, 45, I'm talking consecutive, I might say, okay, well, but it was one night. And mind you, he's having a good season overall, which makes that the point that it should not even be that much of a surprise that he's out like, I want to say eligible. What's the word I'm looking for? I want to say he's eligible for a 71-point game, but he's
But for him, like it happened in overtime too. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't in
extra
regular.
time. Mm-hmm.
It was extra time. It wasn't like he dropped 58 points in the game, and in overtime, that's when he went up to 71. So again, like it's
Got the
not
word.
crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Capable. I'm looking capable is the blank word I was
Yes,
thinking
it's
about.
capable. Yes,
He's
that's capable.
capable of a
Yes.
70-point game after his
In
season he's had
overtime. I
in
think
overtime.
I think a lot. I think a lot of guys in this league this year are capable of doing that in an overtime
Mm-hmm.
game. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why, again, to be fair, the NBA does test players 4 times a year, which I did not know. I was like, what? Apparently, they test 4 times a year players, for PED. So I guess he got tested twice already this year, and only two times left. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's absurd because of timing of it. 71
Yeah.
point game. The NBA stated that that shouldn't have happened, and now boom. You know what I'm saying?
You tested. Crazy. And actually, a 71-point game is something that the NBA technically should be supporting. It's good for the NBA. It's good for the league when you have these nights. You know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
someone has a big night. It's news. It's advertising. Like the NBA benefits the most when you have monumental games like Wilt Chamberlain 100, Kobe Bryant 81, Donovan Mitchell 71. The list goes on. Those type of nights are
Yep.
they're making money on those nights. So
And to
what's the problem?
and to your point, if you're mad at Donovan Mitchell for making 71 points, be mad at your referees because they didn't call the shit. You know what I'm saying? Don't get mad at the player. He's on the court. You know what I'm saying? So if it shouldn't have happened, then hopefully you're retraining your referees to make that call. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it his fault that your refs missed that call? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
Fair enough.
Put that energy towards your refs, dog. Not to the player. It ain't his fault. So yeah, anyways, but yeah, this whole like he was in the lane but early, he stepped into the foul lane early and all that stuff. So the point shouldn't have happened. Whatever, man. Too bad. Okay. Absurd.
All right, so Nelly J, let's put this episode in the books.
Y'all, that was the Good Rookie Show. My goodness, Faheem. Man, 2023. I feel like it's already going by really quickly. I do, though. I think it's going by so quickly. Things going by crazy. I think for me, my shout out this week is, a lot of people have passed away already this year. I want thoughts and prayers to Tristan Thompson and his family. His mom passed away. She passed away. That was announced this weekend. So just for all the people who've lost loved ones early on this year, just thoughts and prayers to you guys. I do also want to give a shout out to Venus Williams, who at first she qualified, Faheem, for the Australian Open. Then she withdrew because of injury. But the fact that this girl is in her 40s doing things, shout out to her, to Venus. You know what I'm saying? Staying fit, still competing against these young things, like that's dope. So big up to her. She qualified, but she had to withdraw because she's injured. So just want to do my shout out for her today. Oh, my last shout out is Canada's team, World Junior team. They won the gold medal, Faheem. They beat I think Czechia. Is it Czechia? How do you say Czechia? They beat them 3-2 in overtime.
So I'm not sure the country, but I don't think it's Czech. Is it Czechoslovakia?
No. It's spelled CH. Hold up. It's spelled C. It's spelled CZECHIA.
Wow, is that a new country? I've never heard of Czechia, and I'm pretty good at geography.
It's a country in Europe. It's not a new country. Yo, we sound like white people talking about African as Yeah, Czechia.
Spell it again. CH.
No, CZECHIA. They're in Europe. So they're like, Slovakia, like all the Slovakia and those countries. Yeah, Czechia.
Wow.
The Czech Republic, I guess. Czechia, yeah. They're in the Czech Republic. Wow. The Czech Republic, yeah. They're in Europe. They're besides Slovakia and
right. Yeah, I've heard a lot of the Vias, but that's the Via that I've never heard.
There's Czechia, there's Austria.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's actually bordered
Slovenia,
Australia. Yeah. So it's in between Austria, Germany, and Poland. And Slovakia. Wow. It's around those. So it's a smaller country.
And you know what the funny thing is? So I've heard of Prague for sure. Yeah. But I didn't. And Prague is their capital city.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of the country, which is crazy.
Is it a new country? No. Oh man, listen. And hey, I'm sure some folks didn't even know they're a country too. I don't think you're alone. Those who don't know.
Now you know.
Yeah, now you know. Czech Republic is in Europe. And Czechia, they call Czechia. That's they beat Czechia in the finals.
So, there you go. All right, so shout out to Czechia first of all. I'm also making a shout out to Naomi Osaka, Forbes highest paid female athlete. Again. $51.1 million in 2022.
And has she even won a match? I mean, she won. Has she won a tournament?
Has she won a tournament? I don't know. She hasn't won a tournament. So just goes to show the power of athletes outside of the court. It's the climate right now is making it easy for people to establish their brands. And shout out to her for capitalizing on not just being marketable, but also being a high level player also.
And also keeping it real. She keeps it 100, man. I love Naomi. It's just refreshing to see players say, I want to talk to the media. I want to talk to y'all. That's good. Like, I like that. It's like, protect your mental health. So I love that, man. This year, 2023, choose me. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Choose me.
All right, so let's put this episode in the books.
Y'all, that was a good rookie show. If you had a good time, you enjoyed yourself, like, subscribe, comment, and tell a friend to tell a friend.
We are on all platforms if you're looking for us. That's a good rookie show. And we out.